balancing your creativity and your public persona. As the director of marketing at Atlantic, I have a team and we collectively work together, there's 4 of us, and we work together to plan and edit and conceptualize and create Atlantic's social media presence. And that takes a lot of time for 4 people. So my question to our panelists is, how do you do this as one person? How do you find balance between your creative work and what you're posting on social media?
I mean, I guess I'll kind of just start. I think it's been really interesting to see how social media obviously has evolved over the last 15 years. You know, I started putting myself out there in the earlier kind of YouTube musical theater days. It's like 2009, 2010. And at that time, it was all about like posting your concert videos or it was really, honestly, a lot of just like concert videos. And at that time, a lot of it was for like the younger musical theater, contemporary musical theater scene. It was like our way of building an audience and building a fan base without really necessarily intentionally being like, we're gonna build an audience and build a fan base. It was, I think a lot of us sort of just stepped into it without any sort of like real thought about like, how can we utilize this or use this in a way to our advantage of some kind. Very early on, I learned that, and apologies, I'm gonna talk a lot about like monetizing, I feel sometimes. I found early on that like sheet music was my merch, and that and so if eyeballs were gonna be on a video of mine from a concert, and everyone in the comments are like, I wanna sing this song, I wanna sing this song, it's important to have that sheet music available to go right away because they're gonna forget about it in a day or two, and you wanna be able to like get on that as soon as possible. And what's also awesome about that is that like where, you know, again, with merch, someone's wearing your face on their shirt or whatever, but like for me, for us, you know, having more and more people sing my music was how my music spread. And so, and I'm so grateful for that. It kind of became like, back in the early days, it was like street teams, right, for like artists, and that is kind of like how I look at it. So it was really important for me then to put my music out there and also make the sheet music readily available to go in that way. That was like one form of things. Then now, and we'll get into this next topic more so, but like now it's a lot about personalization of artists, and there's a lot of social media out there that's about like showing the behind the scenes process of creating, and we can dive into that as well. But where that line is for me as far as like how do you balance in being an artist and the social media aspect of it, that's where things get a lot more complicated. Because it's really hard for me, Joey, to write music when I have a camera on me. And I feel like I'm starting to judge myself and judge like what other people might be thinking, or I'm judging my own work in real time. That becomes really complicated. And some people are so good at that, at being vulnerable. So it's really hard. It's really hard to kind of like balance that. And I think ultimately, your relationship with social media and your artistry needs to make sense. That doesn't get in the way of your productivity as an artist. Find the things that bring you joy in the content that you make. And if having a camera on you the whole time while you're writing something is not bringing you joy or is not bringing out your best product, then maybe that's not like the version of content that you're going to put out there for your social media. So that's kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I feel like I built a platform off of being honest and transparent and vulnerable, and I, like, truth be told, it was totally by accident. I mean, I feel like that's how a lot of content creators get into it. They literally just stumbled into it. And it's something that I'm really, really, really struggling with right now, is that work-life balance of having my life and having my content. I literally started the artist way 4 days ago because I was like crashing out. And I mean that, like, honestly crashing out. And it's something that I'm like really trying to figure out. Like, I've been doing this for 3 years, and I've been doing the same thing for 3 years, and it's not working anymore, and it's not bringing me joy, and I don't know why. And so I'm trying to take this step back and reevaluate, you know, like what's working and what isn't. what are the things that I used to do that I used to make that bring me joy? Because at the end of the day, like, we're all creative artists. Like, when we were kids, we used to just like, part of my friends, we used to just like make shit. And something that I'm trying to do in terms of like my relationship to social media, because very much this, like, as more eyes get put on your work, you know, the second that you realize who's seeing your stuff, it's a whole new ballgame. All of a sudden, it's hard to be vulnerable and transparent and like the person that you are. And truth be told, it's vulnerability and transparency that people are drawn to. That's the thing that makes you the most successful. That is the thing that gets you to point A to point B. But it's hard to be them when you know whose eyes are on you and you want so badly to control exactly how you are perceived by those around you. So you want to be vulnerable, but in a safe way. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to like take a step back and really reevaluate, like, what am I doing that's working, what am I doing that's not? And like setting boundaries, and taking breaks, and trying new things, and something that being okay with being creative. And I think this is hard for probably all of us in this room, especially those who are writers, and creators in any sense of the word, is you have to be okay with being creatively productive in a non-productive monetary way. Like, you have to be okay with allowing yourself to make things and be creative in a way that isn't for anything. You know, like, I love to knit. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world. But to me, knitting is a waste of time, because I could be doing this, and I could be doing that, and I could be doing this. So why would I spend an hour knitting if I should be doing all of these other things? At the end of the day, that fills my creative cup. And at the end, like, those are the things that you kind of have to do. So like, all in all, to kind of go back to like this relationship between like your personal life and your social media, I think at the end of the day, something that is really helping me reevaluate my relationship to it is learning to take a step back and fill my creative cup and reevaluate my relationship to the person I am portraying on social media, the person I'm trying to be. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all about boundaries, but also about honesty and being okay with being scared.
Yeah, I think from a creative point of, like, as a writer, I'm not putting myself out in the same way, and I think I don't look at my social media content as like, I need to make social media content, but it's like, what does my creative process need? It's sort of related to that. What is this music I'm working on right now? Well, I really need to work out this part of these two dueling trumpets that happened from a previous musical of mine. And so can I do a little workshop with two trumpeters where I can work some of that out and get some filming of that and like put a little tidbit of that out. So like, can I get a singer to maybe do one of these songs on a cabaret show, and maybe it's a different type of voice than I've used before, so I'm hearing like, what does this sound like in that type of a singer, or can I use some different instrumentation so I can start to explore that. I think it's making sure the creative process is still honored in the content that you're trying to do, so it also feels like it's furthering you and not just trying to get more eyeballs. Hopefully that will also get more eyeballs, but I think that keeping the kind of creative process at the center of it as the goal, because at the end of the day, I mean, I guess maybe there are some producers who are like, how big is your social media following? You're trying to get a musical produced. Unfortunately, that is starting to become a thing. But if you're going through more traditional like development pipelines and stuff like that, no, that's not what is going to sort of get your musical produced, is the fact that you have however many thousands of followers. So I think making sure that you're still pursuing the art and the creative process and not just chasing the followers would be where I stand on that.